Chapter 1 Start home and inherit the family business. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Rennes, my dear son, how are you? It's hard to believe it's been almost 10 years since you left for the Lionheart Legion. A few days ago, your father and brother were attacked by monsters while inspecting the land. They didn't make it. Your mother hopes you'll come home as soon as possible, resign your post, and take over the family title and lands. Your mother, Evelyn, Rennes stared at the letter, speechless. He never imagined his family could be hit so hard, so fast. His father and brother, gone, victims of monsters, and him, the second son who never expected to inherit anything, was now the head of the Habsburg family. It was a complete shock. This Roland continent, where the gods perform miracles, is truly a dangerous place. You never know what's coming next. After a long silence, Rennes felt a profound sense of how fleeting everything was. He felt a twinge of sadness at the news of his father and brother's deaths, but not much more than that. After all, he'd only arrived in this world 6 months ago. His old life felt like a movie he'd watched, plus, he'd been stuck in the military camp for the past 6 months, cut off from his family. It was hard to feel deeply for a strange father and brother he barely knew. Should I go back and inherit the family business, or not? After considering his feelings, Rennes started weighing his options. Going back had pros and cons. If he wanted to advance further on the path of magic and power, staying in the Lionheart Legion was the better choice. After all, the Legion was one of the Kingdom of Rennes' 3 elite knightly orders. The perks were great. Experienced warriors provided daily training. Military achievements could earn him powerful potions to boost his training. There was even a chance to be knighted and get his own territory. According to the memories of the body's previous owner, his father had spent 3 years' worth of the territory's income to bribe the Legion captain just to get him in, but this body's aptitude was just average. After nearly 10 years in the Lionheart Legion, he was only a low-level, 3rd-rank knight at his current rate. It would take years to break through to 4th rank and become an intermediate knight. As for reaching 7th rank and becoming an advanced knight, forget about it. In that situation, standing out in the Legion, where power was everything, would be next to impossible, and in a war, his life would be on the line constantly. Going home to inherit the family business is probably my best bet, Rennes thought with a sigh. When he'd first arrived in this high magic world, he'd dreamed of becoming the most powerful person alive, just like those other guys in stories, but after 6 months, reality had set in. For someone like him, with no connections, no talent, and no special powers, achieving greatness was a pipe dream. So, maybe it was better to go home, take over the family business, and live comfortably for the rest of his days. The Habsburg family wasn't exactly rich. They only had a barony and a small territory of less than 8 square miles, but it would be enough to live a carefree life until the end. Having made up his mind, Rennes resolved to act immediately. He would retire and inherit the family, except, retiring wasn't so easy. As an elite military force sponsored by the Kingdom of Rennes, the Lionheart Legion wasn't a place you could just leave whenever you wanted. Normally, you had to serve at least 15 years or suffer a debilitating injury to retire. Rennes had served less than 10, so he didn't meet the requirements. Looks like he'd have to pull some strings to retire and get home to the family business. That meant greasing some palms. After a series of under-the-table deals, bribes, his savings were slashed by more than half, but thankfully, his retirement papers went through. As of today, he was officially discharged from the Lionheart Legion and back to being a regular civilian. When his comrades heard Rennes was retiring, they came to say their goodbyes. After a farewell dinner with the guys he'd fought alongside for years, Rennes mounted his warhorse and headed home. The next day, after riding hard all day and night, Rennes arrived back at the Habsburg family's territory, Eagle Village. The atmosphere in Eagle Village was heavy, probably because of the monster attacks. Even during the day, the village streets were nearly empty. He rode up to the small manor in the center of the village. The guards announced his arrival. Soon, a beautiful, mature woman came out. It was Evelyn, Rennes' mother. Mother and son were reunited. Evelyn was overjoyed. She ran to Rennes and held him tight. "My child, you're finally home." Her husband and eldest son had been killed so suddenly by monsters. Now, all the responsibilities of the territory had fallen on her, a fragile woman. If Rennes hadn't come back, she didn't know what she would have done. Rennes comforted his emotionally distraught mother, trying to calm her down. After a few minutes, once Evelyn had regained her composure, Rennes, at his mother's arrangement, presided over the funerals for his father and brother. He laid them to rest. Then, with all the villagers of Eagle Village as witnesses, Rennes officially inherited the title, becoming the new ruler of the land. All that was left was to register the change with the noble house in the county seat. Inheriting a family title as a direct relative was that simple. The elaborate ceremonies overseen by the king were reserved for the highest-ranking nobles, like dukes and marquises. A low-level noble like a baron couldn't even dream of it. After spending several days dealing with the affairs of the territory, Rennes was ready to start his leisurely life as a good-for-nothing noble. But then, 2 days later, Evelyn dropped another bombshell on him. She'd found him a fiancé. Chapter 2: The heir is born and the system is turned on. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Eagle Village, Habs Manor. Mom, you found me a fiancé. We're getting married in a few days. Rennes asked, eyes wide with confusion as he lay in the sun. This was way too sudden. He didn't even know who the bride was. That's right. Your father and brother are gone now. If you don't hurry up and get married and have kids, the Habs family bloodline could disappear. Evelyn's expression was grave. It was a serious issue. Throughout history, countless noble families on the Varan continent had vanished because their bloodlines died out. For nobles, procreation was a vital duty. The more family members, the more secure the family's legacy. The Habs family was at a critical point. With Rennes as the only direct descendant, if he died, the family would almost certainly be wiped out. Okay, Rennes conceded. Hearing his mother's words, he felt less resistant. He understood that responsibility came with his position. Having inherited the Habs family title and land, he had a duty to maintain and strengthen the family. Still, he wouldn't agree to marry someone unattractive. Evelyn, sensing his concern, smiled reassuringly. The fiancée I chose is Janice, the eldest daughter of the Rhine Knights, who live next door. She's very beautiful, so you don't have to worry. Rennes' eyes lit up, and his remaining reluctance vanished. He was actually excited. 2 days later, the wedding took place as planned. Evelyn wanted to help Rennes, the new Baron of Habs, integrate into the local noble circles as quickly as possible, so she made sure it was a grand affair. Invitations went out to almost every noble they knew. The Habs family estate was buzzing with activity. Guests in formal attire milled about. Rennes, also formally dressed, finally saw Janice, his future wife. His mother was right. She was gorgeous. She had fair skin, a curvy figure, and soft, golden hair. She was exactly his type. Feeling Rennes' intense gaze, Janice, in a pure white gown, blushed and shyly lowered her head. Then, with a priest from the Church of Love presiding, Rennes and Janice exchanged vows in front of their guests. They were officially married. That night, they consummated the marriage. 3 months flew by. During this time, Rennes made a conscious effort to build a relationship with Janice. Their marriage was a political match, but he didn't want his wife to long for someone else. Janice's feelings for him deepened. They became inseparable. Evelyn was thrilled to see her son and daughter-in-law so affectionate. She constantly urged them to have children quickly to continue the Habs bloodline. With his mother's relentless prodding, Rennes was contributing several times a day. If he wasn't a third-rank warrior with exceptional stamina, he would have been completely exhausted. A month later, Janice was pregnant. Rennes, I'm pregnant. Ha ha ha. That's amazing. You did it, Janice. Rennes froze for a moment. Then, his face lit up as he embraced Janice tightly and kissed her passionately. Janice nestled in her husband's arms, caressing her belly and smiling. The couple was ecstatic. Evelyn, eagerly awaiting her first grandchild, was even more excited. The Habsburg family will have a new member. Hearing the news, she started preparing everything Janice would need during pregnancy and childbirth. She also made nourishing soup for Janice every day. Rennes took a break from his daily training to spend time with his wife. Janice appreciated her husband's thoughtfulness. Their relationship grew stronger. 10 months later, Janice's due date approached. To ensure a safe delivery, Rennes hired a priest from the Church of Life. This high magic world didn't have modern medical techniques like C-sections, but it did have magic and divine arts. The Church of Life worshipped the goddess of life, who had dominion over life and childbirth. Its priests had divine childbirth skills with a perfect success rate. They were the best midwives in the world. The only drawback was the cost. at least 50 gold coins. The Habs family's annual tax revenue was just over 600 gold coins. Common nobles couldn't afford it, but it was worth the price. With the priest's help, Janice delivered a healthy baby boy in just over 10 minutes. "This is my child." Rennes smiled at the wrinkled little guy in his arms. He was a father. With a blood connection to this child, Rennes finally felt a sense of belonging in this magical world of gods and saints, but his expression changed, replaced by shock. He felt that the weight of his chi had increased by 1/10. "What's going on?" Rennes wasn't happy, but scared. It would take years of hard work to improve his cultivation that much, but now it happened out of nowhere. Reborn in this world, he didn't believe in sudden good fortune. He prepared to activate his chi, look inside his body, and find out why his strength had suddenly increased. As the thought formed, information appeared in his mind. Host's child detected. Family system activated. Begin testing the child's aptitude. Ding! The child has no magical aptitude, low-level chi aptitude. Overall evaluation is black iron level. You gain 1 year of chi cultivation. Note: child's evaluation is based on cultivation aptitude, divided into black iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond. The higher the evaluation, the more generous the rewards you receive. Great discounts on books for the Dragon Boat Festival. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Grab the top up now. Promotion period, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 3 Bronze Level Heirs, promoted to mid-level fighters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. My cheat code just popped up. Rennes' face lit up with excitement. After half a year of time travel with no sign of it, he'd almost given up hope. Turns out, he just hadn't figured out how to trigger the system. But better late than never. Snapping back to reality, Rennes couldn't wait to check out what his cheat code could do. A few minutes later, he had the full rundown. In a nutshell, it was all about life. He'd get rewards for having kids and expanding his family line. The better the kid's potential, the better the rewards. This cheat code is pretty blunt, but I'm into it. Rennes grinned. As long as he had enough land to cultivate, cranking out a dozen or 20 kids a year wouldn't be a problem. If each kid gave him a year's worth of chi power, he could get the equivalent of decades of his own hard training in a single year. At this rate, becoming a god was only a matter of time. Of course, that was the best-case scenario. This cheat code was a sucker for beauty. Only kids born to women who scored 85 or higher on the look scale would count. With his current status and power, scoring that many gorgeous women wouldn't be easy. Guess I'll have to keep working hard with Janice for now. Rennes mused. Fast forward 3 years since the cheat code woke up. Thanks to Rennes' dedication, Janice had basically been pregnant non-stop. She'd popped out 4 kids in those 3 years, including a set of twins. Still, whether it was just bad luck or his own garbage aptitude, all 4 kids got a black iron rating. Just like the first one, those 4 kids earned him a total of 4 years of chi cultivation. Adding it to the first kid, Rennes' chi cultivation had increased by 5 years. Pushing him to the limit of a 3rd stage warrior, he was just a hair's breadth away from breaking through to the 4th stage and becoming an intermediate warrior. To speed up the breakthrough, Rennes got busy with his wife again. Even after 5 back-to-back pregnancies, Janice wasn't showing her age. In fact, she was even more gorgeous than before, like a rose in full bloom. That was because Rennes had been dropping serious cash on magic potions to keep her healthy. Thanks to those potions, Janice's body was still in great shape. Despite the constant pregnancies, everything was working fine, and they weren't using birth control. About 2 weeks later, Janice was pregnant again. I just gave birth, and now I'm pregnant again. This is all your fault, Rennes. In the bedroom, Janice playfully scolded Rennes, her face showing mock displeasure. They had only been married for a few years and already had 5 children. Who could handle that? If her husband didn't keep showering her with sweet words and affection, she would have tapped out a long time ago. I know, it's my fault. If you don't want any more, we'll stop after this one, okay? Looking at his beautiful, slightly exasperated wife, Rennes felt a pang of guilt. He wasn't heartless. If she really didn't want to keep having kids, he wouldn't force her. It's not that I don't want any more. I just need a break. Hearing her husband's gentle words, Janice's heart softened. she knew how much he loved her. If he wanted more kids, she was willing to have a few more. You're the best. Marrying a wife who gets me like you do is the luckiest thing that ever happened to me. You're just buttering me up. Janice rolled her eyes, but her smile couldn't hide the sweetness she felt. 10 months later, Janice was huge. The day of the delivery finally arrived. A baby's cry echoed from the delivery room. Ren's sixth child was born. Detected the birth of the host's sixth child. Low magic aptitude, medium fighting spirit aptitude. Evaluation, bronze level. Reward, 10 years of fighting spirit cultivation and a 5-star combat technique, Gale Sword technique. A bronze level kid. Ren was pleasantly surprised by the system message. Compared to a black iron kid, a bronze one was clearly way better. The system rewards proved it. Not only did the fighting spirit cultivation reward increase tenfold, but there was also a bonus 5-star combat technique. In this world, martial arts and combat techniques were ranked from 0 to 9 stars. The higher the star level, the stronger the fighting spirit and the greater the chance of developing special abilities. Same deal with combat techniques. A higher level technique could dramatically boost a warrior's fighting ability. All other things being equal, a warrior who knew a 1-star technique could easily wipe the floor with anyone who didn't know any techniques. High-level martial arts and combat techniques equaled power and were the key to a family's or even a kingdom's success. That's why the rulers of this world kept this knowledge under tight control to maintain their power as a baronial noble. The highest level combat technique in the Habsburg family was only 3 stars. That made this 5-star technique incredibly valuable. Even for a viscount, this technique was more than good enough to be the inherited technique of an earl's family. Jackpot. Snapping out of it, Ren quickly accepted the reward. The Gale Sword technique flooded his brain and instantly became second nature. It was like he had been practicing it his whole life. His fighting spirit surged and purified itself as it grew. 4th rank. 5th rank. 6th rank. By the time he had completely absorbed the 10 years of cultivation, Ren had rocketed to the 6th rank, peak intermediate warrior. He was one step away from becoming a high-level warrior. The biggest difference between intermediate and low-level warriors is that intermediate warriors can condense their fighting spirit enough to hurt people even when it's separated from their body, seriously increasing their attack range. Ren's eyes narrowed. He couldn't wait to test it out. He extended his right index and middle fingers and channeled his fighting spirit. A stream of yellow energy shot from his fingertips, punching a 4-inch deep hole in the stone wall in front of him. Its destructive power was on par with armor-piercing bullets. Yep, intermediate warriors are on a whole different level. Ren nodded, satisfied. His cultivation had just jumped 3 ranks, and he'd snagged a new 5-star combat technique. His power had increased tenfold in a short amount of time. He could easily defeat his old self with a single strike. This cheat code is amazing. Feeling the power surging through him, Ren wanted to have 100, no, 200 kids, right now. Chapter 4 Family Development, Brewery Opening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the room, Janice had just given birth. Evelyn told the maids to clean up the mess. Ren came in after. He saw Janice resting in bed, her face pale. Childbirth had clearly taken a toll. Janice, you were amazing. Seeing her like this, Ren felt a pang of sympathy. It wasn't so bad. Janice was warmed by his concern. They exchanged a few sweet words before Ren turned to look at the baby girl. A bronze-level baby was something else. Usually, newborns are all wrinkled and prune-like from being in the amniotic fluid. They look like little old men and need some time to bounce back, but not his daughter. Even fresh out of the womb, her skin was smooth and fair, her cheeks rosy. She was adorable. Goo goo. Ren couldn't resist reaching out to play with the tiny, perfect baby. She grabbed his hand and giggled, waving her arms and legs. Janice smiled warmly at the father-daughter bonding. Then, as if remembering something, she said, Ren, you haven't named her yet. Let's call her Hilda. Hilda Habs. Ren had been thinking about it. Hilda would be her first name, Habs her last. It was a simple choice, really. According to the system, her martial spirit talent was intermediate level, way better than his. She was destined to be a powerful warrior, and Hilda means battle or female warrior. It fit perfectly. As if sensing his thoughts, Hilda smiled even brighter. Months flew by. Maybe it took more to nurture a bronze-level kid. Janice was more drained after this birth than after the others. To help her recover and avoid complications, Rennes spent half a year's income on a top-notch restorative potion. The hefty price tag, several hundred gold coins, strained their finances. He had to hunt monsters in the nearby forest to make ends meet. With his level 6 warrior skills and the Gale Sword technique, those low-level forest monsters didn't stand a chance. He took them down with one hit. In 2 weeks, Rennes bagged 3 wind wolves, 4 water arrow rabbits, and 5 earth spike insects. They were just level 1 to 3 monsters, but still, they were magical creatures. Their fur, bones, meat, and magic cores were all valuable. He could sell one for at least a dozen gold coins. Selling his haul to merchants, Rennes easily made over 100 gold coins. Having a taste, Rennes threw himself into monster hunting when he wasn't caring for the kids or spending time with Janice. He was out in the forest. Life was pretty good. Year later, after Janice made it clear she needed a break, Rennes started taking precautions. The system rewards stopped coming, so Rennes training hadn't progressed much, but he had been busy. Using his knowledge of distillation from his past life, he started a brewery in Xiongning village. The beer was affordable, had a unique flavor, and with some good marketing, it quickly became popular in the surrounding towns. It boosted the local economy and brought in a lot of cash. In less than a year, the Habuz family's assets multiplied several times over. Of course, a business that lucrative couldn't be monopolized by a mere baronial family. To expand sales, Rennes handed over the distribution rights to influential nobles in the area. He created an alliance of interests. The Habuz family's influence soared. They were no longer nobodies. Besides expanding the family fortune, Rennes was planning for another child. The system reward for a bronze-level heir had been a game-changer. Janice, who had been resting for over a year, was on board with having another baby, so they started trying. After a few months, Janice was pregnant again. To improve their odds of having another talented child, Rennes went all out, buying expensive potions and supplements for Janice. Chapter 5 Crusade against the Fiery Demon Tiger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flies. Before you know it, another 6 months have passed. Janice's belly is growing bigger every day. Rennes spends his time with her, playing with their child, living a relaxed and happy life. But this peace was about to be shattered. One day at noon, a hunter stumbled upon the lair of a flame tiger, an advanced demon beast, in the forest east of Eagle Village. News spread like wildfire, and the village was thrown into a panic. Demon beasts destroying villages is a common occurrence on the Roland continent. Everyone feared the flame tiger would attack and devour them. This fear paralyzed Eagle Village. We have to deal with this, and fast, Rennes decided immediately. He had to eliminate the threat. As long as the demon beast was nearby, the village was at constant risk. Merchants would be scared away, and villagers might flee. He wouldn't let the territory he'd worked so hard to develop be ruined. His only option was to kill the flame tiger and minimize the damage. But killing a flame tiger was no easy task. As an advanced fire demon, it possessed powerful fire magic and deadly melee skills. An adult flame tiger could rival a high-level knight, 7th rank. Even with his 6th rank strength and a devastating 5-star combat technique, Rennes knew he couldn't take it down alone. At best, he'd win a costly victory, with both sides badly injured. Looks like I need some backup. Rennes' eyes lit up, and he got to work. He instructed his butler to post a mission at the Adventurers Guild, offering a hefty reward of 5,000 gold coins to anyone who would take on the extermination job. Money talks. It worked. Within 2 days, a small adventurer team called Purple Lilac accepted the mission. Rennes wasted no time inviting them to his manor, Hab's Manor, reception room. Greetings, Lord Baron. The team members stood as Rennes entered. Despite their strength, they were still commoners and needed to show respect to nobility. No need to be so formal, Rennes said, waving his hand. After some pleasantries, Rennes got to know them. The captain was a graceful and strong half-elf woman named Freya, a 6th-rank magic archer. The vice-captain was a muscular woman named Ada, a 6th-rank shield warrior. The other 3 members were women too, a warrior, a healer, and a hunter, all 5th rank. It was a powerful all-female team, well balanced with scouting, frontline, melee, ranged, and healing covered. With their help, Rennes felt confident about taking down the flame tiger. He discussed the mission details, then asked the butler to show them to their rooms. It was getting late, and venturing into the forest at night was too dangerous. Visibility would be poor. It was better to wait until morning. After settling his guests, Rennes returned to his room. Meanwhile, in the guest rooms, Freya and her team discussed their meeting with Rennes. Baron Rennes is joining us to fight the flame tiger tomorrow. I wonder how strong he is. Hopefully, he won't slow us down, said Kara, the female warrior. He seems a bit soft. Doesn't look like much of a fighter, Ada added bluntly. Let's be prepared. Remember to protect our client tomorrow, Freya said calmly. They were being paid to solve a problem, and that meant keeping their employer safe. They talked strategy, focusing on protecting Rennes, then retired to their rooms. The next morning, Rennes and the Lilac Flower Squad got ready and headed out. With the hunter who discovered the flame tiger's lair as their guide, they set off into the forest east of Eagle Village. As they entered the dense woods, everyone became more alert. Especially the Lilac Flower team, who quickly formed a battle formation. Ada, as vice-captain and shield warrior, led the way with her massive shield. The hunter and healer stayed in the middle. Freya, as the ranged attacker, brought up the rear with the warrior, protecting Rennes. After 20 minutes, they found signs of the flame tiger. Charred trees and fiery hair littered the ground. The guide confirmed that the flame tiger's den was in a nearby hollow. Everyone, stay sharp, Freya said, gripping her bow. The flame tiger is no joke. It could cost us our lives if we're not careful. She didn't want her client, or any of her teammates, to get hurt. Got it. Everyone replied, raising their weapons, ready for anything. Another kilometer in, Rennes suddenly stopped, his ears twitching. He grabbed Freya, pulling her back. Drawing his greatsword, he unleashed a combat technique, Gale Sword Technique, Storm Slash. P.S. New book launch, seeking flowers, seeking evaluation votes, seeking monthly votes, seeking all data. As long as the data is good, the author will update tirelessly. Please support the book friends. Dragon Boat Festival book discount. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Grab it now. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 6 Variation Subspecies, Shy Half-Elf Girl. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Swift Sword Technique, Storm Slash. Rennes hefted his massive sword and swung it down. Instantly, whoosh. 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 Countless crescent-shaped blades of blue energy screamed through the air like a furious storm, aimed at the treetop to their right. Everyone stared, bewildered by Rennes' sudden move. Before they could react, the storm of energy blasted a 5-meter-long giant tiger right out of the treetop. It had dark red fur, a crown-like mane, and flames flickered around its paws. It looked incredibly majestic and fierce. This monster was exactly what they were hunting, the blazing fire tiger. Roar! That the storm slash was deadly sharp, its cutting power was immense. Caught completely off guard, even the advanced blazing fire tiger couldn't shrug it off. It roared in pain, but .1 hit wasn't going to take it down. Fighting through the pain, the blazing fire tiger cast a wind spell, invisibility, and vanished again before their eyes. It sounds like a long time, but the whole thing happened in under 2 seconds. Everyone gasped, cold sweat breaking out. This was way too close. Who would have guessed the blazing fire tiger had wind magic and was lying in ambush in the trees, waiting to strike from behind? If Rennes hadn't spotted it, Flora and the others at the back would have been toast. How could this blazing fire tiger have wind-based invisibility? Lifa, the Purple Magnolia team's hunter, was stunned. The Adventurers Guild's monster guide said blazing fire tigers didn't have wind abilities. It shouldn't even be able to learn invisibility. It must have eaten some kind of wind attribute plant and mutated into a wind and fire tiger, Rennes said, carefully scanning their surroundings. A rare mutation. The wind and fire tiger had both wind and fire powers, making it way tougher than a regular blazing fire tiger. This was going to be a serious fight. Wind and fire tiger. Hearing that, everyone's danger level spiked. They quickly formed a tight circle, backs together, ready for the invisible tiger to strike. Thanks for saving me. Freya, the half-elf, blushed and murmured her thanks. She'd thought Rennes was just dead weight. Turns out, he'd saved her life. As an archer, if the wind and fire tiger had gotten to her, she didn't even want to think about what would have happened. Just thinking about it made her shudder. No problem, Rennes said casually. Could you, maybe let me go? Freya's pointed ears turned bright red, and she stammered. She was still in Rennes' arms, and because of the height difference, his arm was pressed right against. Well, right there, the weird friction was making her flush all over. Oh. Sorry. Rennes finally realized what was happening and awkwardly let go. He'd been too busy watching for the tiger to notice where his hand was. It's okay, Freya stepped out of Rennes' embrace, sighing in relief, but for some reason, she felt a faint pang of disappointment. The little incident had made the air between them thick with awkwardness. Luckily, someone broke the tension. Rennes, how did you know the tiger was invisible? Do you have some kind of special skill? Can you do it again? Betty, the team's healer, spoke up. Now that the wind and fire tiger had vanished again, they couldn't find it at all. This stalemate wasn't going to work. No special skill, really. I just have pretty good senses. But now that it's not close, I can't pinpoint it. Rennes said, shrugging helplessly. His mastery of the Gale Sword technique let him sense changes in the airflow, but because of his limited power, the range wasn't that great, maybe 10 meters. The wind and fire tiger had just eaten a storm slash. After getting burned that badly, it wouldn't risk coming close to him again, which meant he couldn't use the same trick twice to sense it through the air currents. So what do we do? Everyone looked grim. It was easy to be a thief, but hard to guard against one. They were all on high alert now, nerves stretched tight, but that couldn't last. If the tiger attacked when they were worn out, they'd be in real trouble. We draw it out. Advanced magic beasts are usually pretty vindictive. After taking that hit from me, it's not going to let it slide. We have to look weak, trick it into thinking it has an opening. Rennes laid out his plan. That's not bad, everyone perked up, nodding. Rennes started assigning roles. After what had just happened, the team saw him in a different light. Nobody thought of him as dead weight anymore. They actually listened to him, but there was a catch. To lure out the crafty wind and fire tiger, someone had to play bait. It was a seriously dangerous job. If he could, Rennes would have done it himself, but his earlier attack had hurt the tiger pretty bad. If it had any sense, it wouldn't come after him first. The others knew it, too. Finally, Ada, the team's shield-wielding vice-captain, volunteered to be the bait. She was confident in her defenses. Even if the wind and fire tiger attacked, she could take the hit without getting seriously hurt. Once they had their assignments, everyone slowly lowered their weapons. They tried to look relaxed. Ada even dropped her shield and stepped away from the group. She started walking forward. 10 meters. 20 meters. 30 meters. Chapter 7 Advanced Fire Magic, Fire, Rain and Meteor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 10 meters. 20 meters. 30 meters. Once Ada had put over 100 meters between herself and the group, the wind-fire demon tiger, which had been lying in wait, couldn't restrain itself any longer. Roar! Silently stalking Ada from behind, the wind-fire demon tiger immediately cast a wind spell, acceleration. Then, it charged at her at top speed. Smarting from its earlier encounters with those pesky humans, it was out for revenge. Picking off the woman who had strayed from the pack was step one. Gotcha. It thought, sensing the rush of wind behind her. Ada, who appeared relaxed but was actually on high alert, reacted instantly. She whirled around, raising her shield and channeling her chi into her most powerful defensive move, 2-star combat skill, Resilient Shield Wall. In a heartbeat, a semi-transparent, earthy yellow energy shield materialized, completely surrounding her. However, the wind-fire demon tiger's attack was not to be trifled with. Its sheer size, combined with the acceleration spell, turned the impact into a battering ram. The energy shield held for barely 2 seconds before shattering. The wind-fire demon tiger sent Ada flying, slamming her back more than 10 meters, but thankfully, the resilient shield wall had absorbed the worst of the blow, cutting the force of the attack by more than half. Ada scrambled to her feet, shaken but not seriously hurt, immediately sticking to the plan. She assumed a defensive stance and unleashed a taunt at the Windfire Demon Tiger. Roar! The taunt worked like a charm. The Windfire Demon Tiger, which had been planning another sneak attack after its first attempt failed, went ballistic. Fireball. Wind Blade. Exploding Fireball. The Windfire Demon Tiger threw everything it had at Ada in a furious barrage. Meanwhile, Ada used every shield technique she knew to deflect the onslaught. She was buying time until her teammates arrived. But, Ada had underestimated the raw power of this Windfire Demon Tiger. Roar! Realizing that the annoying little pest was still alive after all its efforts, the Windfire Demon Tiger decided to play its ace in the hole. A gigantic, 10-meter wide, and terrifyingly hot azure fireball materialized above its head. It hurtled toward Ada as an advanced magic spell. Flame burst packed more than 10 times the punch of an exploding fireball. Everything it touched turned to ash in the intense heat. If it hit Ada head-on, she wouldn't stand a chance. Even her resilient shield wall would instantly melt. She wouldn't even leave ashes behind. Just then, Rennes and the others arrived. They saw Ada, who was playing bait, in mortal danger. Rennes activated his fighting spirit and used the swift sword technique secret acceleration move. He moved like a whirlwind, appearing in front of Ada in an instant. Then, with a powerful upward sweep of his great sword, he created a condensed wall of wind. Swift sword technique, wind barrier. The moment the wind barrier snapped into place, the blazing fireball slammed into it, but it was no use. The gust of wind deflected it harmlessly to the side. Boom! It exploded like a small missile. A crater several meters deep and 20 meters wide was blown out of the ground. Raging flames scorched the surrounding area. Without hesitation, Rennes yelled, "Die!" Having blocked the attack for Ada, he charged toward the Windfire Demon Tiger. His great sword crackled with wind energy as he aimed it straight at the monster's head. Swift wind sword technique, whirlwind fierce slash. Rennes' attack was lightning fast and brutal. The Windfire Demon Tiger, still recovering from its powerful spell, didn't have time to react. If it hadn't instinctively jerked its head to the side, the sword would have cleaved its head clean off. Even so, the Windfire Demon Tiger suffered a major wound. A deep gash ran down the right side of its head, and blood poured out like a waterfall. Roar! It roared in pain. The Windfire Demon Tiger was now bloodlust. Its blood-soaked jaws opened wide as it lunged at Rennes, ready to tear him limb from limb. Swift wind step. Rennes wasn't about to go toe-to-toe with it. He dodged the attack with a quick step. Spinning around, he swung his sword at the Windfire Demon Tiger's flank. These magical beasts, especially high-level ones, are tough as nails. Even after taking so much damage, it was still kicking and screaming and fierce. While Rennes kept the Windfire Demon Tiger busy, Fleur and the others moved in. They took turns harassing the beast and landing blows, creating openings for Rennes with their teamwork. The Windfire Demon Tiger's injuries piled up. Its strength was fading. Sensing that death was near, a glint of madness flashed in the copperbell eyes of the tiger. It squeezed out the last of its magic power and unleashed an advanced fire spell, Meteor Shower. A huge wave of magical energy surged upward, forming a fire cloud 100 meters wide above the Windfire Demon Tiger's head. The next second, fireballs began to rain down from the cloud like a meteor shower. Caught off guard by the Windfire Demon Tiger's final, desperate attack, Rennes and the others were thrown into chaos. Luckily, the Windfire Demon Tiger's control over its magic faltered when it pushed itself too far. Most of the fire meteors fell harmlessly into empty space. Rennes and his crew took turns defending against the remaining fireballs. They barely managed to hold on. A minute later, the fire cloud dissipated. Rennes and the others, covered in soot and grime from the explosions, finally breathed a collective sigh of relief. They had weathered the Windfire Demon Tiger's last-ditch attack. The rest would be easy. The Windfire Demon Tiger, drained of its magic, was running on fumes. Rennes charged in and easily decapitated the beast with a single strike. The Windfire Demon Tiger had finally been defeated. "It's finally dead," everyone murmured. After blocking the rain of fire meteors, they were all running on empty. If this Windfire Demon Tiger hadn't dropped dead soon, they wouldn't have lasted much longer. With the battle over, everyone patched themselves up as best they could. Then, they gleefully set about butchering the Windfire Demon Tiger's carcass as an advanced mutated magical beast. Every part of the Windfire Demon Tiger was valuable. The magic core, the fur, even the blood could be sold for a good price. They spent 10 minutes harvesting every valuable component. Afterward, they ransacked the wind-fire demon tiger's lair, taking everything of worth that they could find. With the spoils of war secured, Rennes and the others began their journey home, their spirits high. Chapter 8 Prestige Improvement, Settlement Remuneration. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Back in Xiongning village, Rennes gathered everyone and announced that he'd taken down the wind-fire demon tiger. Awesome! Hooray for Baron Rennes! That the villagers erupted in cheers, their faces alight with excitement as they gazed upon the tiger's bloody head. Finally, that monster was gone, they could all live in peace, no longer fearing an attack. The village, on edge for days, instantly relaxed, life could return to normal, the brewery could get back to business. Thanks to this, Rennes' reputation soared throughout his territory, and word even spread to neighboring towns. But that's another story. After his announcement, Rennes, Florina, and the team headed back to the estate. He was ready to give them their reward. Since the wind-fire demon tiger was tougher than expected, Rennes bumped up the agreed-upon payment by 40%. Thanks to the Purple Magnolia Adventure team, here's a little something for your trouble, Rennes said, handing Florina a small box with a smile. Inside, gold coins gleamed, reflecting a dazzling light. It was quite a sight. Thank you, Lord Rennes. Freya and the others were thrilled by such a generous reward, but as they counted, they were taken aback. There were more coins than they expected. Instead of the agreed-upon 5,000, the box held 7,000 gold coins. Lord Rennes, is this a mistake? Freya asked, puzzled. The other members of the Lilac Adventure team looked equally confused. No mistake. This mission turned out to be much harder than I initially thought. You earned every bit of it, Rennes said with a wave of his hand. But Freya started to object. In her opinion, their contribution wasn't that significant. After all, Rennes had done most of the work, finding the tiger, planning the hunt, and leading the fight. They were just support. Such a huge reward felt undeserved. No buts. I'm not taking it back, Rennes interrupted. Without your help, I couldn't have taken down that tiger alone. He turned and left, leaving Florina no chance to argue. They had no choice but to accept his generosity. Rennes then told the butler to arrange accommodations for the team, wanting them to rest and recover at the estate. They'd all been seriously injured during the hunt. Ada, the shield warrior who acted as bait, had several broken bones and internal bleeding. Even with Betty the healer's help, it would take over 2 weeks to fully recover. But having just received so much money, Florina and the others felt awkward accepting more from Rennes. They freshened up and left the estate, leaving Habs Manor. The Lilac Adventure team hired a carriage to take them to Cardia, a city about 60 miles away. That city was their home base. Their businesses were all there. Baron Rennes is really something, said Lifa, the huntress, gazing at the box of gold with a delighted expression. A sucker for anything shiny, she couldn't resist the lure of gold. He sure is. Everyone agreed. They'd been running missions for years, but this was the first time they'd seen such a generous employer. Most wouldn't pay extra when a job got tougher. Even if they did, it would be a 10% bump at most. Rennes had gone straight to 40%. This one job had paid almost as much as they usually made in 6 months. If Baron Rennes is paying out that much, he's got to be loaded. Handsome, powerful, and rich, he's the total package. If only. Lifa trailed off, a blush creeping onto her face. This little minx is getting ideas. We've been sisters for years, promised to stick together. Now Lifa wants to become a baroness, the little traitor. That's right, the other women teased her. Lifa blushed furiously, as she listened to their playful banter. Flina, the half-elf girl, couldn't help but remember when Rennes saved her. The feeling of safety in his arms was intoxicating. The accidental, intimate touch still made her heart race. Am I falling for him? Confused by her own emotions, Flina stared blankly towards Eagle Village. Chapter 9 The Border War starts, a good opportunity to improve the title. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Purple Bohemia Adventure team was too caught up in their own conversation to notice what was going on around them. Meanwhile, Rennes was talking to his wife. Rennes, you're back. Did you get hurt fighting those monsters? Janice asked, her face etched with worry. She'd been a nervous wreck while he was out battling monsters. If Rennes hadn't been so insistent, she never would have let him go on that adventure. Nah, I'm fine. Rennes replied, pretending he was perfectly okay. He didn't want to upset Janice. It wouldn't be good for her or the baby. To steer clear of the subject, he quickly changed the topic, giving her a watered-down version of his monster hunting expedition. Janice, who'd never really traveled much, was fascinated by his stories. She snuggled against his chest, listening intently as they cuddled together. The day flew by. Now that he'd taken down the firestorm tiger, Rennes settled back into his usual routine. He spent his days playing with the kids and hanging out with his wife. When he had some free time, he'd hunt in the woods around his property. Life was good. As for developing his territory, Rennes had already set things in motion. The Eagle Brewery was becoming more and more famous, and shipments were booming. Trade was thriving, attracting visitors from far and wide, and the local villagers were getting rich. As a result, more and more free settlers were flocking to Eagle Village, boosting the population from just over 4,000 to over 7,000, and it was still growing fast. It looked like Eagle Village would become Eagle Town by the middle of next year. Of course, Rennes could speed things up. He had plenty of ideas from his past life that he could use to develop key industries for Eagle Village, but it wasn't really necessary. In this world of high magic, you needed power to protect your interests. Without strength, creating too many good things would only cause trouble. He wasn't about to do anything that foolish. Right now, his priority was taking care of his wife and making sure she had a safe delivery. Days turned into weeks, and Janice's due date was fast approaching. Just as the Rennes family was getting ready to welcome their new baby, 3 noble lords showed up at Eagle Village with a dozen or so guards. They were Cardia, from the Black Baron family, Igor, from the Yak Baron family, and Sindira, from the Merc Baron family. These 3 families had a business alliance with the Habs family, working together to sell beer. They were pretty tight. The group rode into Eagle Village. The Habs family's territory has really taken off. Cardia exclaimed, impressed by the changes. Eagle Village was almost unrecognizable. 6 months ago, when he'd come to Eagle Village to discuss the beer sales rights, it was just a bunch of thatched-roofed huts and dirt roads, a poor, ordinary mountain village. But now, the rundown huts were gone, replaced by sturdy, beautiful stone houses. The muddy dirt roads had been paved with smooth cobblestones. There were public restrooms, a bustling commercial district, and all sorts of other amenities. Small vendors lined the streets, hawking their wares, and villagers bustled about everywhere. The place was booming. If he hadn't known for sure that this was Eagle Village, he would have thought he was in the wrong place. Save the sightseeing for later. Let's go pay Baron Rennes a visit, Igor said calmly. Cardia and Sindira nodded in agreement. They weren't here for a tour. They headed to Habs Manor, presented their calling cards, and the butler, not wanting to take any chances, quickly showed them to the reception room and went to fetch Rennes. A few minutes later, Rennes arrived. Baron Igor, Baron Cardia, Baron Sindira, what brings you 3 to my humble abode? Rennes asked, surprised to see them. Baron Rennes, we've come to discuss something important, Igor said solemnly. What is it? Rennes asked, curious. Have you heard about the upcoming border war, Baron Rennes? Igor asked, not wanting to cut to the chase. A border war? Rennes frowned. He hadn't heard anything about it. He'd been too focused on Janice's pregnancy to pay attention to local noble gossip. That's right. A couple of months ago, they discovered a huge iron ore deposit on the western border, and both our Kingdom of Lance and the neighboring Kingdom of Hillock are claiming it, Sindira, from the Merc Baron family, explained. Things are getting pretty tense. Word is, the king is ready to go to war with the Kingdom of Hillock. So, what does that have to do with us? Rennes asked, still confused. What were they getting at? What did a war on the western border have to do with small nobles like them in the south? Unless the war was a total wipeout, it wouldn't even affect them. This war is a golden opportunity. Igor exclaimed. We've come to invite you to join us, Baron Rennes. If the four of us pool our resources, we're sure to make a name for ourselves in this war. We could get promoted, maybe even get our hands on bigger fiefs. Cardia and Sindira nodded enthusiastically. Now Rennes understood. But he wasn't buying into Igor's rosy picture. As a former Lion Knights Legion soldier, he knew how brutal and dangerous war could be. It was a meat grinder that chewed up countless lives, especially in large-scale wars between nations. The combined forces of their four baron families wouldn't even be a blip on the radar. One wrong move and they'd all be wiped out. That kind of war is too risky. I'm sorry, but I can't agree to this, Rennes said, shaking his head politely. With his special knowledge, his future was secure. He didn't need to risk his neck on the battlefield for wealth and glory. Chapter 10 Silver-Ranked Heir, Mad Dragon Fighting Qigong Method. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This level of war is way too risky. Sorry, but I'm out. Igor was taken aback by Rennes' response. He figured Rennes would jump at this. After all, it was a golden opportunity. Kingdom-level wars only came around once in a blue moon. The last one was over a decade ago. If they passed this up, who knew how long they'd have to wait for another chance to climb the ranks through battlefield glory. Baron Rennes, are you sure you won't reconsider? Igor pressed, regaining his composure. He wanted Rennes on board because he'd heard about him taking down that advanced firestorm tiger. With someone like that in their corner, their odds of survival would skyrocket. Nope, I'm good. My wife's about to pop, and I don't want to be away. Rennes waved him off. Seeing that Rennes wasn't budging, Igor and the others had to back down. They exchanged a few pleasantries, then left with their guards. Since Rennes was a no-go, they'd have to find other nobles to recruit. After seeing Igor and his crew off, Rennes settled back into his quiet life. 2 weeks later, Janice was back in the delivery room. About 10 minutes later, a baby's cry filled the air. Rennes had his 7th kid. Maybe it was that fancy magic potion Rennes had bought for Janice, or maybe it was just luck, but this kid was special. Detected the birth of the host's 7th child. Magic aptitude, average. Fighting spirit aptitude, high. Evaluation, silver level. Reward, 30 years of fighting spirit cultivation. Average fighting spirit aptitude, 6-star martial art, furious dragon fighting spirit. Now that's what I call a reward, Rennes said, grinning. 30 years of fighting spirit cultivation was great, but the real kicker was the fighting spirit aptitude boost. His own fighting spirit aptitude was nothing to write home about. He could grind for over a decade and still be miles behind a natural. But improving his aptitude meant he could actually keep pace with the prodigies. Even better, the system calculated the amount of fighting spirit cultivation based on his aptitude. If he could reach the level of a true genius, the reward for an iron-level kid would be 10 times better. It was a game-changer. And the 6-star furious dragon fighting spirit. No explanation needed. Fighting spirit cultivation was the bedrock of a warrior, way more valuable than combat skills. In the Rhine region, the Layla family, the top dogs around here, only had a 5-star martial art, frozen fighting spirit, locked away. The higher the level, the better the fighting spirit. If a 1-star fighting spirit was a sword, a 6-star one was a freaking bomb. No comparison. Time to cash in, Rennes thought, practically vibrating with anticipation. Instantly, he felt his body changing. His meridians widened, turning from dirt roads into superhighways. His fighting spirit flowed 10 times faster. Once the transformation was complete, the secrets of the mad dragon fighting spirit flooded his mind. This technique didn't just grant dragon-like power. It packed a destructive punch that could shatter anything. Master it, and your physique could rival a lower level dragon. Seriously powerful. Rennes was blown away. His current 2-star lion fighting spirit was nothing compared to this 6-star beast. Without a second thought, he switched over, converting all his lion fighting spirit into mad dragon fighting spirit. Then, he absorbed the 30 years of cultivation. After fully digesting it, Rennes jumped to 9th rank knight, from an intermediate to a high-level knight in one shot. Not a big deal on the Roland continent, but pretty good in the Lance Kingdom, the top Dog, there was only a 14th rank Sky Knight. If he could push through to 10th rank and become an Earth Knight, he'd be one of the most powerful people in the kingdom. Then, getting a title upgrade would be a piece of cake. Any Earth Knight who pledged loyalty to the king would automatically get a count title and some land. Buzzing with excitement, Rennes headed to the delivery room. Janice was holding the baby. "Rennes, it's a boy. Our first one. Isn't he a cutie?" she said, beaming. "Cute, but not as cute as you," Rennes said, taking the baby and grinning. "Always buttering me up." She chuckled, but her smile said it all. 3 months later, Janice was back to her old self. Rennes and Janice were back in business, trying for another baby, but after months of trying, no luck. Rennes brought in a priest from the Church of Life to check her out. The verdict? Janice's fertility had taken a hit from all those pregnancies. She needed to take it easy and recover. No more babies for a while. Rennes was bummed, but Janice wasn't too upset. 7 kids were enough. She'd only kept going to please her husband. Truth be told, she was kind of relieved to have a break. "Rennes, I can't give you any more kids right now," she said after some time. "Why don't you take another wife?" "I don't mind." That she knew how much he wanted a big family. She didn't want it to cause problems between them, so she was okay with him finding someone else to help him out. P.S. Power levels: Warrior Apprentice, 0th rank, Low-level Warrior, 1st to 3rd rank, Intermediate Warrior, 4th to 6th rank, High-level Warrior, 7th to 9th rank, Earth Warrior, 10th to 12th rank, Sky Warrior, 13th to 15th rank, Legendary Warrior, 15th to 20th rank, Demigod, 21st to 30th rank, Dragon Boat Festival deals. Get 500 VIP points for every 100 points spent.